I was lucky enough to get some limited time in the early access Sakhal event, and I've been putting in some hours since release. I have some hints and tips to get you started in the map. So, are you ready? When you spawn in, you'll be in one of the coastal villages ranging across the north and northeast of the island. You won't usually be far from a main road. This road can help you navigate, but before you need to worry about that, you'll have several other things to take care of, such as sorting out your vitals. Keeping these high will not only help with immunity, but one of the most important things in Sakhal, and as of 1.26, is your temperature. You'll need to keep an eye on this, as when it drops to light blue, it not only drains your food quicker, but you're also prone to the common cold sickness, which, if not treated, will turn into pneumonia, and if that happens, it's likely to kill you in just over 20 minutes. If you have pneumonia, your character will start wheezing like this. After spawning, it won't be long before you're light blue, so getting warm is a high priority. It's usually a good idea to hit the nearest house first and cut up any trash clothes for rags. Use these to make rag gloves. They won't keep you warm, but they will protect your hands from cuts and blood from cutting animals, bodies and fish. It's by no means essential, but it's a pro tip to save time and resources later. You'll need matches, a lighter or a flare to start a fire, but unless you got super lucky, you probably won't have any of those yet. Use your spawn knife on a tree to get 2 bark and break a large stick into small ones. Combine one of the bark with a stick to make a hand drill kit. Staying at the fire will raise your temperature and eventually give you the heat buff. This has changed since the last patch and now has 3 levels. The amount you get and how fast you get the buff depends on your overall insulation level. For now, you'll only be able to get the 2nd plus. Another pro tip. Your spawn knife won't last long, but if you make a fire near a dirt road, you should find that a stone, or several, have spawned. You can use one of these on a rock to make a stone knife, or just combine 2 of them. Otherwise, bear in mind you can use some melee weapons, like a crowbar, hammer, screwdriver or pickaxe, to get stones for a knife. You can improve your insulation just by looting around for better clothes. They all have an insulation value, so cover any slots that are empty and swap out items that are better than what you have. The insulation value is also affected by the condition and how dry it is. For some clothes that are damaged, you can repair them and bump the insulation, so look around for sewing repair kits, duct tape and leather sewing kits. To give you a rough idea, to get the 3rd level of the buff here, I had to have all slots covered with medium insulation and a couple of high, so it takes a little while to find decent enough gear, but you can do it with loot around coastal villages. If you're near a PD, which are blue now, don't forget to loot it for the chance of a vest, and the police heads may also drop ammo. If you get wet, either from swimming or from snowfall, you can wring out some clothes to dry them off, but they also dry at a fire. Carrying food that's frozen will also affect your temperature, as will being outside and the elevation. High altitude will affect your overall insulation level, so bear that in mind before moving inland. As for food and water, you'll find canned food around spawn towns. There's no magic to it, just loot up searching houses, cars and greenhouses. There's also no fruit trees to fall back on in emergencies, but you can find mushrooms if you or other survivors have been in the area a little while. There are also animals you can kill, such as rabbits, foxes and goats, but if you don't have a gun, chasing them around is a bit of a pain. Instead of chasing animals around like a madman, you can use snare and fishing traps. They do take some time to work though, so they're not ideal in emergencies. With that said, if you catch a rabbit or fox from hunting or in a snare trap, you can tan the leather you get from skinning it using garden lime. You'll find that in sheds usually. Combining the tan leather with a leather sewing kit will let you craft a leather bag, which has high insulation, medium storage, and you can also bury it as a stash with a shovel, pickaxe or farming hoe. It's a pretty easy upgrade to get early on, even if it's just for the insulation. Right now, fishing is the go-to way to find food. And even if, like me, you hate fishing, it's a lot quicker now with the recent changes in the new patch. You'll still need to find a fishing rod, or you can make one with a rope and long stick. You can make a rope by cutting up a corpse or animal and using a knife on the guts. Alternatively, cut up clothes for rags, combine 12 to make a rope. Just a side note here, when you cut down jackets they won't give you rags, they'll give you feathers, which is handy if you have a crossbow to make improvised bolts due to the lack of chickens. You can also find ropes in sheds, and a Zed may drop one on occasion too. Finding an extra rope can be helpful, as you can craft a rope belt with it to free up some inventory space until you find something better. If you have some bones, use them with a knife to make hooks. Otherwise, a knife and a small stick will let you craft a wooden hook. You can get worms using a knife on a ground where it's not frozen, like on some grass. Fishing itself is easy enough. Just attach the hook to the rod and use it at the sea and release the button when there's ripples. By the time you've gathered some food, you'll probably need another fire, so you can cook it at the same time. If you went fishing and got some steelhead trout, they drop caviar when you gut them, which is safe to eat raw. And doesn't it look tasty?
Yummy!
If you didn't craft rag gloves and your hands aren't covered, you'll need to wash your hands after cutting any animals, corpses or fish. You can do this at any water source like the sea or a water bottle. Canned food can also be placed on a fire to defrost quicker. Once the food is cooked, it will be too hot to eat. You'll need to wait for it to stop steaming before you can eat it, or until it says warm. For water, you'll find clean water sources not at wells but in water springs. You'll find these in most coastal villages, but they tend to be away from buildings at the end of hiking trails, so you'll need to look around for them. If you can't find one, try turning away from the sea, walking out a little bit away from the road, behind clumps of buildings. Look for a hiking trail, which should take you right there. If you still can't find one, sometimes dirt paths have a connecting hiking trail. You can also locate them if you find a lootable map, indicated by these symbols. Further into the map, the water springs are more sparse, so hit it again before you move inland. You can fill containers and pots with snow, but it's risky to drink this, even if you boil it, due to heavy metal poisoning. The snow is contaminated with heavy metals, which causes you to get sick. You'll see this as the sickness icon, muffled sounds, and it will eventually kill you. You can clean the water with chelating tabs, but you probably won't have access to them yet. You'll find them as you progress further into the map, but you may get lucky at the random police spawns in coastal villages. With a warm tub and some supplies, you'll be ready to move on. If you decide to head inland, make sure you have decent food, clothes and a weapon. If you think you need more loot, following the main road is often a good idea. This road goes all around the main island, so getting lost isn't a concern. If you're feeling adventurous, there's also often boats and cars in coastal towns, so keep your eyes open for spark plugs. You'll find more loot and other POIs as you progress into the map, so be on the lookout. Happy hunting!